How's it going, everybody? This is Dominic Minchella. I am the Kansas City Chiefs co-beat writer for On SI and the host of the Kansas City Chiefs Insider Podcast. Thank you guys so much for stopping in today as we've got game day later on tonight, Monday Night Football. The Kansas City Chiefs take on the Washington Commanders in a Week 8 matchup at Arrowhead Stadium. The Kansas City Chiefs are finally seeming like they've put some puzzle pieces together. They've won 2 straight. Starting off the season 0-2, clawed back, then went on a win one, lose one, win one cycle. But finally, it looks like things are kind of coming up Kansas City. So much so that their most recent victory over the Detroit Lions is considered to have put them into front contention to be the Super Bowl winners once again, or at least a favorite. Kansas City is still a very dangerous team. They've got a lot of offensive powerhouse weapons to use, as well as things on the defense that have been working out very well, coming off of a shutout against the Las Vegas Raiders. Now, I know that the Las Vegas Raiders and the Washington Commanders are on two different spectrums of the success bar, but it's still impressive nonetheless to put up, or to force rather, a historic franchise to score 0 points. But going into this game, we've got our final predictions on tab today in today's podcast, because it might seem like it is the easy way out to take, but I do think that it is so, until proven otherwise, the Kansas City Chiefs have a lot on their favor going into this game. Not only have they been very successful in Monday Night Football in their franchise history, compared to losing to the Jacksonville Jaguars earlier this year on Monday Night Football, I think that this is, one, a redemption game on a grand stage, what the Kansas City Chiefs love to play on. 2, they are riding a hot streak. 3, they are at home in front of their home faithful. And 4, they're going up against a Washington Commanders team without Jayden Daniels. Now, I know that Jayden Daniels isn't the end-all, be-all of the reason to the success for the Commanders, but they have been a team that's been kind of hit or miss thus far this season. Coming into this game off of a loss against the Dallas Cowboys is not going to fare well against a team who has been the leading AFC champions for the past 3 seasons. But I have more reasons as to why I think that this game favors Kansas City. And I do think that it would be up maybe like a game close to around 31, 32 points for Kansas City. I do think that this is a stretch that they're on where they have scored 28 or more points in their last 4 games, which has been, I've talked to you guys about that before. It is a stretch that is impressive, and if they do once again reach that, it's going to be something that they haven't done 5 straight games scoring 28 or more points for the first time since, I believe, 2019. But there are other reasons why the Chiefs will be successful, and that is because of number 15. Patrick Mahomes out there against the Washington Commanders has fared well in his career, but more recently, since we like to look at recency bias here on the Kansas City Chiefs Insider Podcast, there's been a whole lot of things going right for Kansas City, specifically Patrick Mahomes. In his last 4 games, he has over 1,000 passing yards, 1,131 to be exact, with 125 rushing yards, which, averages out to be around 31.25 rushing yards per game, which is a good sign, though, because Kansas City was heavily reliant on Patrick Mahomes to begin the season for their rushing attack. And it's nice to see that things have kind of taken a little bit of pressure off of Mahomes' legs so he can worry about throwing the football. But in those 4 games, he's averaging 282.75 passing yards per game. He has passed 11 touchdowns and 1 interception. And on top of that, you got to give your kudos to the offensive line. While you are without Josh Simmons for now going to be the 3rd week in a row, you're going to have Jalen Moore step out there. Trey Smith was listed as doubtful, which means that it's likely Mike Caliendo doing the heavy lifting for the Kansas City Chiefs at the right guard position tonight. But, all in all, this is an offensive line that has improved vastly from what we've seen last season. Patrick Mahomes has seemed to stay more upright. He seemed more confident in the pocket. And on top of that, he's been able to find several of his wide receivers with the return of Rashee Rice. Has been able to open up things for Xavier Worthy. Travis Kelce has seen a whole lot of action. All in all, I think the offensive approach into this game favors Kansas City much more than it favors Washington, heavily because of the way that Patrick Mahomes has played as of late and the way that Jaden Daniels is not going to be in this game. However, there are still people that the Chiefs defense and defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo must be weary of from the Washington side of things, as just because Jaden Daniels is out, Terry McLaurin, he will be playing, as well as Deebo Samuel. Bobby Wagner will also be out there. I know that he is a linebacker, but he is a guy to pay attention to. There's a lot of things that Washington can still add to take down Kansas City. Now, I'm not saying that it's probable, but I am saying it's possible. If you got to also think of it this way. The Washington Commanders are coming off of they're riding a 2-game losing streak currently. They lost to the Chicago Bears before losing to the Cowboys last week. And it was a close game against Chicago, and it was a blowout against Dallas. Now, as a team who has been able to score a lot of points this season, you would think that this would be a lot more competitive. And I would hope so as well, because, being it on Monday Night Football, I think that this is good for the league, the National Football League, on top of, helping Kansas City and Washington both get more traction. While Kansas City is a very popular team, Washington's a very young team with a young-led offense with Jaden Daniels. I think that they have a whole lot of potential to really step forward. But all in all, I think that Washington's going to come in with a chip on its shoulder because of a 2-game losing streak, knowing that if they were to be able to beat Kansas City at home and end the losing streak, it would probably give them a huge momentum boost, something that Kansas City does not want to give them. But I believe that this game does favor Kansas City just by recency. But if Kansas City does not take this game seriously or take the Commanders seriously, it could turn ugly very quickly. Now, I think that if this game does lean towards the Chiefs and it does come away with a Chiefs victory, it does help solidify their chances as once again being a top playoff / Super Bowl contender, being able to knock off the Detroit Lions. If they're able to take down the Washington Commanders in a game against a team that had beaten the Lions last season, while they've only lost to the Philadelphia Eagles in 2 straight from the NFC, I think that there's some room for this Kansas City Chiefs team to build momentum internally and externally with a win tonight, hopefully. Fingers crossed. Final prediction, Kansas City's taking it by, I would like to say, 31-22. Let's go with that. Covers the spread, I believe. But all in all, folks, be sure you follow me over on X. I will be tweeting throughout the game. You're not going to want to miss any of it. You can follow me at Dom Minchella. I post and repost every single day, and that is Dom Minchella, Minchella over on X. You can also follow us over at KC Chiefs on SI. Everything is posted there. You're not going to want to miss any coverage of the Kansas City Chiefs, because Kansas City Chiefs on SI is the place to get your Kansas City Chiefs news. As always, folks, be kind to one another, and I'll see you tomorrow with my game recap.